A sickness in the air where the shadows grow. The streets turn quiet, the sun bled red. I heard the echoes of the words they said. Stay inside, don't make a sound. Lock your doors, the dead walk the ground. But I saw their faces through the cracked glass pane. Empty eyes, alive with pain. Oh, the fear, it crept like a slow burning flame. We're all just pieces in a twisted game. Run, run, the dead have come. No prayers will save what we've become. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Try to survive, watch who you trust. Try not to scream, so no one will hear. The end has begun, and it's drawing near.
What's up, everybody? What is up? We are live. Got some guest creators here. Gonna talk some Walking Dead. We'll start with the ladies first. We got Scarlet joining us again tonight for on the panel. How are you doing, Scarlet?
What's up, guys? Doing good. Having a good weekend. It's nice and hot down here in the south, so lots of sun and rain. It's like monsoon season.
Oh man. How you doing, Dana? Dana's up there in New York. How are things going?
It's as good as it's gonna be up here. I don't think we could get any better, and I don't think we can get any worse at this point.
Until Godzilla arrives, right?
Right? Until Godzilla comes out of the Hudson, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Nice. And very special guest. So glad that he's here. We've got Dan from Dan Reviews, man. What's up?
What's up? I'm very happy to be here. Been wanting to do this for a good while, so I'm very excited.
Nice. Well, we're going to jump into The Walking Dead and stuff, but we can address this again at the end of the video, but go ahead and just tell us a little bit, what you got going on, some things you might be planning in the future, anything about your channel that you might want to say, not just for the people tuning in right now, but of course people will be rewatching this from now on, and just let them know what's going on, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if anybody is not familiar with my channel, what I do, obviously, I've been covering The Walking Dead for about 9 years, going on 9 years, since I was from a 12-year-old little boy that was excited about The Walking Dead, and now here I am at 21 years old, still doing it, still covering The Walking Dead, yeah, it's been a crazy journey, man, and honestly, it kind of took this live stream, honestly, for me to kind of realize. I was like, it has been 15 years. Like, that is insane. Like, I couldn't get over it, and I'm grateful to be able to do this for the 9 years that I was covering it, and we'll continue to cover it, despite some of the issues we've had here and there. But I mean, I think it's been a insane ride, and I think it's been a really fun experience. It really is. YouTube has changed my life. It really has.
Totally. I can see the agree with that myself. But you're doing some other shows. Don't you have something original that you're doing as well?
Yeah. I have a narration series I've created. I've done it since 2021. Admittedly, it was kind of the whole shutdown of everything happening that kind of had me sitting there with a bunch of time on my hands, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna create a series, and I've done that for a while. I have a 5th season of it coming out. It's called World Gone Mad, and it's basically an apocalypse story that I've created myself. Which it's been a really fun experience to make a series like that, because again, I mean, you never know making a series. Like, are people going to watch it? Are people going to like it? You know what I mean? And it's been really fun to do stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. One thing I want to say about Dan's channel, that about when you're doing the Walking Dead stuff, for an example, really any TV show, you might see an article or see something on Reddit or however you get your news. Twitter is always been a big thing where stuff comes out maybe before other stuff. You see, catch a hey, that promo's been released or something like that. But Dan's channel, his thumbnail will come up for a review most times before I catch the news. Like, I don't even know what's going on, but I'll see a thumbnail and go, oh wait, they released a new promo. Because he is what we say around here, Johnny on the spot. He is on top of things. I may take days before I release something just because of time or whatever, But one thing about Dan's channel, he is on the spot with, you know, if something comes out, he's probably right there on top of it. So that's one thing I've noticed for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Honestly, it's I'd be lying if I said it was easy to do it, for 9 years, keep up with everything so quickly. But obviously, it takes passion, right? And that's why I'm still here. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have definitely noticed ever since The Ones Who Live has concluded that series. I've kind of been a little bit more critical of The Walking Dead since then, because I just feel like we're kind of spinning our tires a little bit, if you will. But I am still here with it, and every time there's news, I always like to get to it right away, just because I mean, I grew up with The Walking Dead. I mean, it's been over half my life, covering the series, on YouTube. So it's almost like I don't even think about it, if that makes any sense. I'm just like, oh, there's something new. Oh, there. Okay, there it goes. Video right away, because the old saying, "Remember where you come from." People have built my channel and watched my videos for so many years that I feel like I owe my viewers to keep going, regardless of obviously my thoughts on certain decisions Walking Dead has made over the last couple years. I just feel the need to keep going, because I think it's a really important thing when someone create something and have so many people watch, and so many people tune in. It's like, I wouldn't trade for a minute. I really wouldn't. I'm appreciative of everybody that follows what I do. It's really
Nice,
great.
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. And the friends and the fans, the community over the years, man, it's just nothing like it. Like you say, YouTube definitely changed my life, your life, probably like so many people's lives just because of that very thing, the community of it. But let me say hey to some people in the chat real quick. Kayshawn was in here first, putting a lot of comments up. So good to see you. We got the Birds 98 cooking supper while watching this. Nice to see you. Dana's, of course, she's on panel. She's saying hello to everyone. We'll talk to them more in a minute and get back with Dan. Let's see. Plum Dog, what's up, man? I love your vids. Thank you. Dan's too, I'm sure. And Cindy Spangler following Dan's lead here. Subscribe. Thank you. And we thank you, because it's really all about you guys. I mean, the reason Dan's here, the reason I'm here, Dana, Scarlet, is really because of you guys, man. And so thank you guys. We got Walter. How's it going, everyone? Different. I want to say that a creator called Ty Swell. Yeah. List, whoever, send me some comments, emails, whatever. We're going to try to get guest creator panels more and more and more and more. I was telling Dan, he's going to have to come back for
Oh,
more
absolutely.
as well.
You don't have to ask me twice.
Right?
Yeah, we're going to get some people on. And Daryl Seymour, I don't know what that means, but he said Dan the man. So thank you. Thank you. Thanks for subscribing. Okay, Sean, we got Jadis. Dan trying to beat me for the worst haircut. Oh, snap.
Oh.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Let's see. Walter's first time joining the live chat. We appreciate it. And Dana definitely sending those links out and reminding everybody, don't forget to sub and check out Dan's if you haven't. And you may be coming my way. So, check out Scarlet, check out Dana. The links will all be down in the description of the video. And we'll be posting them here as well. We got Trophy Productions. What's up, y'all? What's up,
Hey, Trophy. Nice to see you, man.
Nice. Dan brought a crew, man. Dan brought a crew.
I see Brian Akeem in here as well, too. Welcome, Brian.
Is he down in there? I'm getting there. The Walking Dead expert. Hey, everyone. We got, there's Brian. What's up, Brian Akeem? Does he have a question? Do you think Mercer was a terrible general? And look how he trained the soldiers. Do you think Mercer was a decent general, Dan?
Do I think Mercer was a decent general? I think he was great, honestly, especially with all the pressure he had to keep everything at least somewhat normal like he wanted it to. Yeah, I would definitely say he was good at his job for sure.
Yeah, I think, he had a good he wasn't a bad guy kind of thing. Even all the bad stuff going around him and having to work for a bad guy, he still, he came through in the end. Like, I'm not going to go down that road. So we got
I agree.
He came through.
Yeah.
He came
Jermaine Trevino, what's up, guys? got Rowdy. Hey guys, my homie Dan, another of Dan's crew.
Rowdy, one of my good friends. Thank you for coming in, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Rowdy. What's up, Dan Trophy Productions? Popped in for this one. Yeah, man, this is going to be a good discussion. And I'll try to keep up with you guys in the chat too. So don't if I happen to get behind, just give me a minute. And Brian said I meant good as in successful. I mean, I think he was as successful as he could have been in the situation, I guess. What do you think, Dan?
Absolutely. You know, I must say too, he was I think that's a very underrated actor on the show. His actor was incredible. Not only that, I felt like he gripped me in like the pressure that he was feeling to make things right, you know, and in the end I would say it was successful, which is awesome. I think he was the most underrated character from that storyline. I think he was really great, honestly.
Yeah, that Commonwealth storyline, that and the whispers too, you know, before the show got there, I was thinking, how are they going to do the whispers? I wonder if it's going to be cheesy or good, and then how are they going to do the Commonwealth? So, you know, the outfits and how will that look, you know, and, you know, it had its cringy here and there, I guess, on both things, but I thought overall they did pretty good, you know, matching up the comic and showing it on screen.
You know, I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous because when you're doing a comic book, you know, like Kirkman did, it's very much like, okay, you can do something like that in a comic book because it's a comic book, you know what I mean? You can kind of make it feel a little bit more, I don't want to say like superhero-ish, but more fictional than, you know, your average TV show. But with The Walking Dead, I got to admit, I will be honest, I was kind of dreading the way that the soldiers from the Commonwealth would look. And then I remember when I saw the season, I guess not the season 10 finale, more so the just special episode they aired, episode 16 of season 10. I remember when they came out, I was just like, wow. You know, I have to admit, I was pretty blown away with how good they looked. I do agree they're definitely out there in terms of design, but somehow in live action, I was actually pretty impressed with how they looked. When they surrounded them, I was like, yeah, you know, I'm down for this. This looks pretty good, actually.
Right. Yeah. And the birds ask if I show my face. I would think I will eventually. I have before, so I'm sure I will again. I'm, you know, especially if I can put myself in a little circle down in the corner, that'll be cool. And it not be like full screen maybe. But see, Joe Russo, Dan and James to a pod, it would be fire. Brian, our Mercer is still return, but nope. Yeah, it's
Well, also, if you become a member of James's channel, he does have videos where he shows his face. So
on
you'd
the
have to
member
become a
section.
member
Yeah.
and see his special videos, and you will get to see the awesome James.
The awesome James. But so 15 years of The Walking Dead, man. Like you, I've been here about 9 years myself. You know, I think it was around season 6 or something. I can't remember, 5 or 6 when I came in on it. And I think overall, you know, I give the show shit, especially these days because of the writing and stuff like that. But one of the best series, I think, as far as my own opinion, that's out there, you know, the best franchises, because I love the comic. And
Yes.
I think if people read the comic that haven't and watched the show, they'd be so surprised at, yeah, they changed a bunch of stuff, but man, they went frame by frame and sometimes text bubble by text bubble really damn close, you know?
No, I agree. I definitely agree. You know, honestly, with The Walking Dead, it's one of those ones where it's like, because I started reviewing it back in 2016. Admittedly, the motivator for me starting to talk about The Walking Dead in general was I remember I was this 12-year-old kid, which at that age watching Walking Dead, it was pretty crazy, you know. And I was like, I was like, man, I wonder who Negan took out. You know, I wonder who Negan killed. It was during that summer where people were wondering who Negan took out. If anybody remembers that crazy
Yeah.
moment where
Yeah.
Walking Dead was huge, and I was like, you know what, like I want to start a channel. I want to talk about and theorize who I thought Negan took out, you know. And from that moment I always did it. But I watched for a few years before that. I watched since season 4 episode 1. That was my first live episode, so I had watched it for a few years before, and then I finally got the urge to start doing YouTube and start talking about Walking Dead, and then well, expanded ever since. But The Walking Dead's what brought me here, so it's yeah, I'm always thankful for it. That's why it's the franchise I'll always be the most loyal to, regardless of the ups and downs.
Nice, nice. We got Gick Rhymes. I have to say that real slow, or I'll probably say something I shouldn't say.
Well, it's like when it
But
comes to The Walking Dead, it's like when they got it right, they got it right, and when they got it wrong, they just got it wrong. But the moments that were great, you can't knock The Walking Dead, because even like I've said on past live streams, what other shows do you know that's able to fill Madison Square Garden at a convention at the time when it was going up against some heavy hitters, and New York Comic Con couldn't they couldn't accommodate them at the Javits Center to where they had to give them Madison Square Garden. To be able to fill up an arena like Madison Square Garden of just fans, you're doing you something's right about it. I have
yeah,
my gripes, and James knows my gripes, and but I'm very much a fan of The Walking Dead, and I remember I watched Walking Dead from day one, from episode 1, from when it aired live, from when Kirkman made his little announcement at this really weird horror movie award ceremony. It was so random, and so he just walked up on stage and said he's gonna bring my favorite comic book to the live action, and I was excited. I was very, very excited for it.
Wow,
So
man.
that's impressive. I gotta say, because I haven't met many people that have been there since day one. So honestly, credit to you. I mean, that's big. Honestly, that's incredible. 15 years you've been with it. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, it lost me a little bit when they killed off Carl. I had to take a break from it because I come more so from the comic book side of it than I do the TV show. And I was really upset after Carl died, but I did try to come back for like the last 2 seasons because I was like, you know what? In the end, I am a fan. And I
yeah.
really did, I put a lot of time and energy into the conventions and going places and, doing stuff on that on the fan side of it. And I did at least want to see how it ended.
Right,
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah,
definitely.
I watched it since, day one, episode one, season one, the kind of thing on AMC, but I didn't start the channel till fifth or sixth season, something like that. But by that time, it was the number one show in the world, right beside Game of Thrones at the time. About the
Yep.
time, because I started Game of Thrones Explained as well, channel that I only did like one or two videos and said, I'm going to stick with the Walking Dead side. So I'm kind of glad I did. I think that was kind of fate a little bit, but I wish I would have done both side by side, and just seen what happened, but can't go back, Bob.
Yeah, right. As they say, can't go back, Bob. I will say, Walking Dead. That's the thing. No, I agree with what both of you said. Honestly, it's like it's a lot of people always ask me these days. They're like Dan, would you say that Walking Dead's a guilty pleasure? And I would say no, 100% not. It's not a guilty pleasure. I still take a lot of pride to say that I'm with The Walking Dead for this many years. I would just say honestly, and this is the biggest thing, like you said, honestly. Is it's like The Walking Dead, it is done so much for me. I could never walk away. Like it's like
Right.
I could never walk away. People say, "Well, you're just I can tell though you're not liking these sequel shows as much as, the original series." And I'm like, "No, I definitely think I am not. I think my videos have made that very
Right.
very clear, but I could never walk away because let's say if I didn't watch the newest Walking Dead, I think I would sit there saying, man, I wonder what Daryl's doing. I wonder what's going on with Daryl. So when my mind works like that, I'm like, no, I gotta watch it. I gotta see how it goes. I've come this far. And you're right. When Walking Dead is at a high, it's honestly, and this might even be controversial. When Walking Dead gets at a high note, it is some of the highest stuff you'll ever see of television. I have never been gripped to a cast of characters more in my life. And
Mhm.
honestly, when I saw the cliffhanger of season 6, when I saw like, oh, who is Negan gonna kill? That's the moment I thought I was like, I've never cared about a cast of characters on a TV show more than this. Because like I was actually so nervous over a TV show. And that's when I
Right.
knew I was like,
Right.
this is one of the greatest things television's ever made. Even despite the, the problems we may have with it over the years and stuff. It really is. It's one of TV's greatest.
Yeah, it's a good story. And people in the chat's talking about Dead City and, will it have a
Love
season
Dead
4?
City.
Will it have a season 5? And how things will end. So real quick, Dan, what do you think? Like, and Dana, we're at Daryl Dixon season 3. We know season 4 will be the end. They've told us we're not sure about Dead City. It could go 3, 4, 5. We don't know. And we don't know the bigger story of, does Daryl and Carol stay in Europe and that ends that story and there's not going to be any story after it? What are you guys' thoughts on the future?
I have to say, it's kind of it's kind of a crazy one here. I've been campaigning for Daryl to conclude, and I know that might sound a little insane, but the reason I'm on that bandwagon so much is because I want to see him find Rick. I want to see them get to that point, just because with a reunion like the Morgan one, it's like Morgan thinks Rick's alive, so I'm all right with sitting on that for a little while. Daryl's been looking for him for I can't even count how many years. So I'm
Mm,
sitting there thinking to myself, we have to get that reunion, and they can't wait too long. So honestly, hearing that season 4 is the end to me is actually more good news rather than bad news. Now, the Daryl Dixon series I liked. I liked the first season a lot. The first season I felt really brought a fresh vibe to The Walking Dead. The second season I felt like kind of dipped in quality, but it was still enjoyable to an extent. Dead City, it was kind of the same thing. I watched the first season and it might be a bit of an unpopular opinion. I like Dead City season 1. I thought they went for some interesting things. Season 2 rolled around and I had a lot of issues with it. I found myself very lost with the story. I felt like the first seasons of both Daryl and Dead City were successful in my eyes in terms of the writing and the quality. Their second seasons, I felt like weren't as good, to a point where I kind of started thinking, I was like, okay, if we get this type of writing quality of the second seasons of both of these spin-off shows, I'm good with them ending, because I think we should get to more important things like the reunions and other things that we've been asking for. It's definitely been noticeable. The fans are. I think the fans are a little bit impatient, which I understand them. I would consider myself one of them. I think the reunions are definitely, they need to happen. I think they need to happen in at least a couple years here. And me saying a couple years is me being generous to give them time to tell the right story, because I definitely hope they tell the right story when they bring the characters together.
Oh yeah, and that's almost like a uh when you say I hope they tell the right story, that's like, oh my god, it's The Walking Dead.
right?
Can they do
That's what
it?
makes
Can
me
they make it
nervous.
work? Oh my
That's
gosh.
what makes
I
me
know.
nervous.
Because
Can they tell the right
I think
story?
everybody
I don't
wants
know.
that reunion. I mean, there has been like just every now and then one or two people in my comments that might say, "Oh yeah, I don't really care about that or whatever." But everybody else. I mean, there was someone just in the comments recently said, "Oh, I'm going to cry if it happens. I'm going to cry," and that kind of stuff. So, and it's all they want. That's all they want to see. Maybe Scott Gimple knows as soon as he does that, it's over. Like people's already quit watching it, but almost everybody else might quit watching it because they think that's the end of the story.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I actually think that that's why we haven't seen it, is because I think Scott Gimple knows well enough that once he does it, that's going to be it. Which, it's funny. I might come from a different perspective on this. If you give me that reunion and it's a good, well written reunion, and you use the characters maybe for at least an episode or two, like that's the thing I always talk about. I'm not really asking for much. Just give me a good episode with them back together again, and I can walk away pretty happy. I wouldn't consider it too difficult to satisfy me. My only thing is honestly, if you do a reunion, I think I would actually be more interested in seeing what else you want to do with the franchise. Without doing it and kind of just doing these offshoot storylines, I feel like it's like you have that constant thought in the back of your head. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm like, okay, we're seeing Spain, we're seeing these other locations. It is nice to see for sure. And I think it there could be opportunity for good stories there. But in the back of my head, I'm like, what is Daryl going to think when he sees Rick? What is Daryl going to think? And that consistently is living rent free in my head when I'm watching these shows, especially the Daryl one. So it's like, I think if they were to get that one done, and if they were to get that reunion out of the way and then try to do more with Daryl's character, I actually think more people would be interested in watching. They wouldn't be as, frustrated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, waiting, thinking they're just killing time in Europe, what are we waiting on? Where's the reunion? They don't have that on them anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I will say though it's a very unique series. Like it's kind of unfortunate that I say that, because I think the Daryl show exploring different countries and other parts of the world, I think they have the right idea there. I actually do. I think they have interesting concepts there. It's just when there's things you should do first, it's difficult to concentrate on it. That's why I think the end of the original series. I'm actually curious to see who else would agree with me on this. I think they should have had Rick see Daryl either at the end of The Ones Who Live or at the end of the original show. Either one, honestly, doesn't matter to me. So that when you do the Daryl series, you've already had that, so you can kind of just kick back and watch what he's doing. I think they should have done it earlier, to be honest.
Right. So real quick, everybody, I know several people's chimed in the chat, and I might have put it on screen but didn't call out your name. Sorry, but hello to everyone, newcomers coming in as we stream. Magnificent logo. We got Kim Phoenix Rising. Here's Great Go Worm. Thank you for joining. Brian misses World Beyond, and he's being sarcastic. I don't think he really does.
World Beyond. Oh man, that was a tough one for me to get through.
Does the comics change the dynamic between Connie and Kelly? The dynamic? Yeah, I don't know. Those two characters in the comic and the show, I think, were different, right?
Yes.
Let's see. We got Silas Plaskett. Nice name. Let's see here. Who else we got? I hope Daryl reunites with Rick in season 4. What's your prediction on that, Dan? Do you think it'll happen at the end of Daryl Dixon season 4, or it won't, and we're still waiting on whatever that may be?
I would actually like to ask the chat as well while I answer your question. Honestly, I have a question for everybody that's watching the stream right now. Do you guys think it's going to happen? Do you think season 4? Do you think that's going to be it? Because to me, I'm just going to be honest. I think it has to. That's my simple answer. I think it has to. I think because the mission of the Daryl Dixon series at the end of the original series was him taking off on the bike and saying, look, if I find them both, I'll bring them home, referring to, Rick and Michonne. So I think, honestly, if you do this entire spinoff without accomplishing the mission that the show started with, was him looking for Rick, I think if you don't have that destination, I think it would feel more pointless. So I would say it's a must. So because I say that, I'm gonna go with I hope Gimple does the right thing, and I'll say yes. I think we're gonna get it. I think they're gonna please us. Norman Reedus even said the ending is satisfying. So I'm holding out, and I have faith that Norman is because I believe Norman. I think he's a very truthful guy. I think he believes this ending of this season is satisfying. So I think they're gonna go for it. I really do.
I don't know about Norman.
I hope so.
He said,
I hope so.
what was it he said about last season? That the last episode was like the greatest Walking Dead you'll ever see or something. And yeah, if they hadn't killed
it's Gimple that makes
all the
me
characters.
nervous.
Same. Gimple's a tough one for me right now. I don't know how to feel about the way he's handling things necessarily.
No, I'm not a Gimple fan at all. I don't like how he's handled certain things when it's come to The Walking Dead. I don't like decisions he has made. I'm not a fan of Gimple at all. I'm not. Everybody knows how I feel about Gimple.
I wonder if Gimple ever had the idea that all the fans wanted or seem to want is the CRM versus Commonwealth, or CRM is even more of a big bad guy. Do you think that changed when they ended up having to rewrite or redo or rethink The Ones Who Live? Or do you think that was his idea all along and he never had the idea for them to be anything more than what they were?
Oh, um, honestly, you know what I think? I think the CRM, this might be kind of an outside answer a little bit, but I think he made this group up, honestly, because Andrew Lincoln wanted to leave. And I think he
Yep.
always had the
Exactly.
CRM as a thought in the back of his mind is like, okay, if I can get these movies to happen, and then it turned into a TV show, okay, you know what? I'm making this spinoff with these young kids, and I need a villain group. Let's just put that in there to make people interested. And then when I eventually do this Rick project, I'll put them in there. And then we'll make sure to wrap them up, though, because we don't want to do anything. Because I don't think he had a plan for them. I think it was strictly because Andrew Lincoln left. He needed an obstacle, he needed a storyline for when he brought him back. And I think once he brought Rick back, he was like, okay, I don't need this anymore. Like, let's just do it. Let's just take them out. So to be honest, I don't think it ever shrunk necessarily. I think what he had in mind for the CRM is exactly what played out. I don't think it ever really changed. I think he just thought, yeah, we'll have an advanced military group that comes in and does their thing, and then once Rick's back and we have the story we need, we'll just take them out real quick, and then that'll be the end of it. We'll bring Rick back. That's what I think they are.
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem that way, especially like you said, he just needed a way to get Rick out of the show, and he came up with this group and played it all out as it played out. But even with Janae and Daryl Dixon, I really thought they'd bring some of that World Beyond stuff to Daryl Dixon, and that was one of the disappointments I had, that Gimple set up so much stuff, even the France thing at the end of World Beyond, and all this stuff, and we got really none of that. I think he changed it. I think instead of, oh, we might get it one day, I think it's now he just changed it, and we did get it in his eyes, in his changed way, like the darts, like the gunshot to the back of the girl in the post-credit scene of World Beyond became the darts, and he just changed it is all. So we got what we got. And Janae, I thought, would be a much bigger bad guy. Like, she would come to America and shoot darts and walkers, and CRM and Commonwealth would have to join together and help fight and stuff. But she fizzled out. And it's just like, I just almost can't fathom what Gimple has in his head right now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You know what I honestly don't understand is that, like, we're a point with The Walking Dead where, I mean, we're celebrating 15 years, and it feels like, okay, like, are we gonna get something major, like a plan for like a crossover event? Are we gonna get any kind of major announcements, this fall when that date eventually happens on Halloween, and it's been 15 years? Honestly, I think, and I don't know where anybody stands on this, but I would be excited if on Halloween, the 15-year anniversary, there's a post made by the official Walking Dead Instagram and Twitter and social medias, and it's everywhere. And imagine you find out that they're bringing The Walking Dead back. They're bringing The Walking Dead back for a season 12. Now, that might be a controversial opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
they bring it back for a season 12 with all the characters in one thing again, and that's what these spin-offs have been building to, is a proper conclusion, a proper ending to all these characters. The show can end properly, not cliffhanger like season 11 did, and end. I think a lot of people on a 15-year anniversary day, hearing that announcement from him, let's say in 2 months, I think everybody would jump out of their seats. At least the people that are diehard fans, I think would. I think they'd be like, "Wow, okay, Gimple, good job, man. That's exciting." I think that would be very exciting for people.
Oh, I think it would too. I don't know if it's going to happen. Let me ask you this: same thing we're talking about, but like you said, a season 12. I may not see it as a season 12. Let's say he does announce a season though of something, but it's called something else. Maybe even not The Ones Who Live. Maybe even a brand new title, but it is. And like me and you might say, that's a season 12. They're just not calling it that. Would you be okay with
Right.
that type of direction?
No, yeah, I 100% would be, because I mean, I think, this might even be kind of just me, but I feel like a lot of the Walking Dead fandom that is left is probably feeling the same way. I'm watching these spin-off shows to get that. I'm watching these shows to eventually get to that point where you feel rewarded for sticking with it. You know what I mean? I think we need to feel that reward. Like, it's like, wow, that was a stellar season of all the characters back together again. And it's like, man, you know what? I really like how this came together. It felt like it had a purpose to it. You know, I think I really think that's the route they should go. I unfortunately though, James, I think you're right. I really do. I think it's going to get to a point where they're just going to run this thing in the mud until eventually AMC says enough, and then they may not even get a chance to do it, which would be unfortunate. I think that's what they should build to. That's where they need to go with this thing.
Right. And Walter says, I look at the spinoffs as standalone series. There's no connectivity. And that's really what Gimple and the showrunners even have said, that, don't expect any connectivity. And that's why I think, there probably may not be a Rick at the end of season 4. And I think it may have been Walter or somebody that said he heard at CDC that they said he won't be, even said that at some point. So that's the thing, I don't think if he was going to show up, they would say it, they would deny it, even if it was going to happen, just to try to save that surprise, I think. But
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
I don't
Which
know if it's going to
that
happen.
makes sense. It does make sense to keep your surprises for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I just don't know if it's going to happen. If I was a betting man, I would say no, but you never know. I mean, it could.
I think it's the matter of does AMC want to invest in it, right? Because that's a big decision to do even a season of that, to bring a famous show like that back, to do all these reunions. I think that's ultimately up to them more so than Gimple, because yeah, sure, Gimple may or may not do it, and honestly, the way he works these days, I think we're leaning towards no. I think a lot of people could probably agree with that. Although, to be honest, I think that if they were going to do it, I think AMC needs to really help them out here, because we need a big budget for this. We need a big scale for this. This has to
Mm-hmm.
be big, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you can't do a low budget. It's no offense to Dead City, but one of the reasons I'm so disconnected with that show in particular is that I'm watching these scenes and I'm seeing the same street over and
Yeah.
over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, like that's strange to see it that low budget. Obviously a budget's a budget. I don't fault the creators for that, but it is unfortunate to see that, their budget has gone that low to where it's like, wow, we're on the same street all season. That's crazy.
Right. And that's the thing. They don't like big budgets these days. That started way back even at season 2, like, okay, we just don't want to give them a budget anymore. To me, it's amazing they reached the status of number 1 show in the world, handling this show the way they did the whole time through. Even now, I do wonder. But that's the thing. I've always kind of seen the reunions, pretty much all of them, whoever you may want to name, from whatever series, as a moment, not necessarily a series. You know what I'm saying? Like I it's hard for me to see them put a series together just for the reunions kind of thing and come up with a story for that and all that kind of stuff. But I could see if at the end of Daryl Dixon they arrived in America and hey, there's Rick. How about that? And it just be a moment, not a whole series on it, right? And in like The Ones Who Live, if they had brought in Morgan, or they could have connected it with moments. I do hope they do another series, but I don't know. That's a hard one.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is. I have to admit, it's kind of got to a point where I feel like The Walking Dead for Gimple is kind of more so about the money, which might be
Oh
kind of
yeah.
an
Oh
interesting
yeah.
thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it feels
But
more
can
like
I be
that.
honest? Can I be honest with you guys? I personally think the only way we're getting a reunion of any kind is going to be up to Andrew Lincoln. I don't think it's going to matter what Scott Gimple wants. Not going to matter what uh Daryl, the actor who plays Daryl, wants. It's all going to be in Andrew Lincoln's hands and what he's going to want to do, because the way he is right now, he's not coming back to the United States to do anything. So whatever they do, it's going to be somewhere overseas. And yes, Daryl's over there right now, but if you're really talking about like a real reunion with like everybody's going to have to go over there. He's not going to come back here and do anything. So I really think it's going to be all up to what Andrew Lincoln wants in the end. To 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 be 100% honest, because without him, then what reunion are we getting? Okay, we'll see Daryl reunite with Judith maybe, or y- I don't know. I just have a feeling that whatever we get, it's definitely it's the power's going to lie with him.
Yeah, and it seems like really if you want to just pick two, the rest, I don't know if they'll happen or not, but Morgan reuniting with Rick and Daryl reuniting with Rick. All the other ones are, I don't know. Can you guys think of another one that you think has to happen? Or, you know,
I mean, honestly, I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on this because I think that in regards to Andrew Lincoln, I think this is obviously the other reunion everybody wants to see. What about Rick and Morgan? I mean, Morgan kind of had his moment there at the end of Fear where he was like, "I'm going to come look for you." I, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think you could not do it. I think they set themselves up for failure if they don't do it. Like you got everybody excited when he said he was going to go look for Rick. I think at this point you have to do it. I think that's another one that has to happen. So, yeah, at this point, I know Morgan's a character that some people like him, some people don't. But I for one, would like to see him have a reunion with Rick. That's why they need to build a story here that has something to do with Rick. That's why I wish The Ones Who Live wasn't one season, because if The Ones Who Live had a second season, you could have easily put Daryl in season two. You could have put Morgan in season two. You could have, used these characters, and Rick is the lead of The Ones Who Live, one of them at least. So that could have been the ultimate sequel series. I'll never understand the failed attempt of that show, because it was a good show, but I felt like that was the right show to use as the Walking Dead sequel. Like, it's led by Rick, it's led by Michonne, it's got the perfect layout here. And if you were to do one more season of The Ones Who Live with Morgan in it and Daryl in it and stuff like that, if they would have kept that going and maybe let CRM be for 2 seasons and let the story breathe a little bit more, I think The Ones Who Live could have been our ending point right there. Honestly,
mm-hmm.
one more proper season, I
Yeah.
think they could have done it.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. The only way working, and I've probably said it in several videos, is a season two of The Ones Who Live could be it after Dead City, even, and then maybe after Daryl or during. It could still, if they want Dead City to be its own thing, because we want the Daryl reunion. A lot of people want Negan, Rick, that kind of thing. But like I said, the two main ones is Morgan and Rick and Daryl and Rick. So anything else like Negan and Rick, I could care less as far as in the bigger picture. Would I watch it? Do I want to see it? That would be cool to see the reaction, but I don't think it's as important as Morgan and Daryl. So they could easily, like you say, fit that into The Ones Who Live season two, and maybe not everybody's in it. Maybe not all the reunions are in it, like I say, but at least you get those two. And I think if they could do that, people would still want more and we might still get more, but that would kind of round it out, I think.
100%. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's the route they should go with this thing. Because thing is, I think the viewership and the fan base, especially for some of the recent spinoffs, they've proven a point somewhere. And I think that's why these spinoffs are ending, if you want my honest thoughts. I think they're seeing that the interest is not what it once was. So they're trying to rack their brain now saying, how do we get that back? Right. Because the more viewers they get, the more money they get. And obviously that's going to, Gimple's going to love that. Right. So he's thinking, okay, people want the Rick and Daryl reunion. If you go on the main Walking Dead YouTube and Instagram and Twitter account, you'll see numerous comments of people saying the same thing every time there's a new Daryl teaser. And I'm wondering if anybody else has noticed this. Um, Anytime there's a new Daryl teaser or a new Dead City teaser or anything, but especially the Daryl teasers, usually the top comments, and there's several of them too, is saying, "Don't care. Where's the reunion with Rick? Where
Right.
is
Right.
this and that?" Like, I've never seen such an excruciating amount of fans banding together to try to force a reunion to happen. Like, people are desperate to see it happen. I wouldn't call myself desperate to see it happen, but I think that's your ultimate way to conclude the stories, is to bring those characters together. But for some reason, they're not ready to end it yet. And I think, like you said, it's all about Gimple wanting to make money, right? I think that's
Hmm.
all what it comes down to. They're toying with how much we love these characters. because they know they can get mileage out of it. So they know that if we just milk these characters for a numerous amount of years, people will watch it because they've been invested in these characters for so long. And unfortunately, they're right. Because look, I mean, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like we're all
Right?
here for it. So they know they can toy with us until they can't tell any more stories. Then I feel like they'll do it. You know?
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
then we get back to what Greg Nicotero said. The
Oh,
fans are just so loyal that they will come back and watch whatever hot garbage we give them. We're not gonna have to make like it. I know he didn't say all that, but I'm just kind of that's what I heard. Sorry, and I know there's a lot of emphasizing in that, but basically that they're using their loyal fan base and they don't care. They honestly don't care whether they give us a good story anymore. So I'm so disheartened right now with The Walking Dead, especially after Dead City and the potential that The Walking Dead in New York City, what that could have been and what we got from it. I don't know. I'm just kind of to the point to where I guess it's going to be what it's going to be. And it's sad to say that, but I don't trust Gimple, and the writers right now can't write a good story to save their lives. So even if we do get a reunion, is it even gonna be what the fans want, or are they just gonna give us some, you know, who knows what kind of reunion? Say, oh, you asked for a reunion, we gave you a reunion. This is what you're gonna get. So just absorb it and take it because that's all you're gonna get.
Right. It seems that
You
way
know,
sometimes because, I don't know. It seems like they don't. Fear is my best example. It's like they didn't read a review ever, like, or listen to fans ever since season 4. They're like, okay, we're going to do what we like, whether anybody else likes it or not, or something. I don't know. I cannot explain season 4 through season 8. I just can't. I can't put it in words. People's wanted me to do a Morgan map. Dan, I've did a Rick map and stuff. I'm about to upload a Daryl map, and I'm like, I can do a Morgan map through the Walking Dead main show, and you'll see him walking off to Texas, and the video will fade out, and I can't go past that because I'll have to watch every single episode of Fear the
oh,
Walking
it's
Dead
painful.
to trace his path to make a map. I can't. I just can't, man. I just can't.
No, I can't bring myself to it either. Honestly, no, I relate to it. I think this is crazy. I think half of my Walking Dead viewer base that's watched my channel has joined over seeing some of my rage videos on Fear the Walking Dead. I've been one of the biggest Fear the Walking Dead rant channels you'll ever see. I wanted to quit so many times, and somehow my viewers kept saying, they were like, "But Dan, if you don't watch it, like." Then I can't find out what happens because I gave up on this garbage a
Yeah.
while ago. So
Yeah,
it's like, Dan, can
exactly.
you suffer for us, please? I was like, okay, all right, I'll suffer for you, sure.
I know I have several people who's commented, "Oh, I don't watch the show anymore. I just watch your reviews to kind of keep up with the story," or something.
Your rage videos were hilarious. Thank you,
that
Trophy.
breaks
Yeah,
your heart. That
honestly,
breaks your
that
heart.
show just it did me in, man. I can't. The Walking Dead has never done anything worse than those late seasons of Fear.
Totally. I mean, you know how much I love The Walking Dead. All you guys do, and I do. But I can say from my own opinion, I think that's some of the worst television in all of television, the history of television,
You
those
know,
last few seasons.
it's kind of unfortunate that it is though, because like Fear started off with so much
It
promise.
had
Hmm.
such
Yeah,
potential. It
Yeah.
had so much potential. I was excited for it. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see like what happened before and oh, all this stuff." And it was like, yeah, we got a few episodes of that, but then we were right back in the world of The Walking Dead. That was it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was it.
Which I mean, obviously, it being in the world of The Walking Dead, like that's obviously fine. My thing is though is that it went from a unique series with the Clark family, one that I thought was really gripping for a few seasons,
Mhm.
and then it all of a sudden it turned into Morgan and Friends is the title that people use. It's like, oh, here's Morgan and Friends. Here's his folks here and there, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, you know what's sad? I like Morgan a lot, and that show made me be like several times. I can't count how many times I was like, Morgan, what did they do to you? Like, what is happening right now?
Right.
Like, I don't get it. It
Right.
was
Right.
the craziest thing.
We got a few people. Retro Hick enjoyed Fear. Harry Potter liked every season. Says haters gonna hate. Um, Kelly, I didn't mind Fear at first, but then what the heck happened? And that's my views there. And John Doy is my favorite on Fear, and he is a great character. Not that they didn't have a few great characters and stuff like that. And I never try to hate on the actors. The actors are only doing their job and reading the lines that the writers wrote. So I talk about the writers a lot as far as that goes. But as far as a character goes, John Dory definitely was a good one.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I liked his character a lot. Oh, that's the thing though. That's actually another reason why, like we were saying earlier, Walking Dead keeps us coming back, because I think their strongest thing is their characters, when their characters are good, obviously. Like, their best characters is what keeps me watching Walking Dead. Like, I always, like, during Fear, every time there'd be a scene with those cameras, I couldn't bear it. Or like the radiation, or
Right.
the yellow filter they'd put on it,
Oh
that is
man.
obviously not realistic at all. But I
Right.
remember I would see, a scene where, oh, there's John Dory popping up, and I'm like, that's why I watch it. That's why I
Right.
watch it. And then a couple other characters that were around there too. Like, I like Dwight. I like Dwight, and I actually used to like Victor Strand a lot. I was a big defender of him, and then the later seasons, he fell apart for me. I didn't know what to think of him after a while.
Yeah, it's I don't know. 15 years, man. It's been a long time, and I think it was Cindy or somebody in the chat said it's hard to have that go that long and be perfect. So I totally understand that. You can't expect everything to be good. But some of the things, just some of the decisions, like killing Carl, and on one hand I can see it from a production standpoint, but even then not really. And on the other hand, it's like the worst decision they ever made. So what do you think is maybe the worst decision through the show?
Oh man, on the worst decision in Fear the Walking Dead, or just the
Or
overall Walking
yeah,
Dead?
overall TWDU.
The worst thing they ever did. I know the typical answer, the one that people would probably expect me to say is Glenn, right? That's when everybody dropped
Yeah,
off. But I'm actually gonna have a bit of a different opinion on this one. I think there is
same.
actually something that's a bit worse, and it goes into a huge thing I think that happened here. I'm gonna go with Carl, and the reason I'm gonna go with Carl is for this simple reason. I think Carl is the reason that pushed Andrew Lincoln to say, you know what, I think I'm done. And then he left. And then it set into these movies, which never happened. And then we didn't have Carl to help lead The Walking Dead after Rick left, which I think was a massive missed opportunity there. And Rick could not return to lead the final season due to him wanting to leave, because I believe he left because Carl was killed off. And then we couldn't have Rick in season 11, and we had to get him for a little 3-minute scene. And then we have The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, which took forever to finally happen. And then when it did, we still didn't get all the reunions we want, and we're still here today with a lot of issues regarding Rick's character and it feeling incomplete. So to me, the Carl death spiraled into still issues that we have today. That's why I say it's the worst one, honestly.
I totally agree with that. 100% agree with that. Now, don't get me wrong. I shook my head at the whole Sophia decision. I shook my head and I was like, what are they? Why'd they do like this is a big change. It's not a little change. Like, you took a character that is alive for a very long time in the comic and you killed her. But her story was not as significant as Carl's. Carl's he to me, Carl is The Walking Dead. How the comic book ended and what we got and what Carl was supposed to be, I feel like they just erased all that and then had to try to give his story to other people and do other things with it, and it didn't work. Nobody could fit the role of Carl. Like, nobody could fit that role. And Carl to me was definitely that was my kind of like, okay, I put my hands up. And I'm the rare one. I enjoyed the time, like the whole how they did Glenn's death and what we got after that. And I think a lot of people who fell off from that moment did not know anything about the comic books, because Glenn's death was such a significant part of the comic book and so necessary to kind of transform Rick into. I always warned people who didn't read the comic books, you got to get ready and you got to be patient. You're going to see bitch Rick. He turns into this, like, he I don't even know what to, like, how to call it, but he almost kind of, he becomes introverted. He's so broken and so lost during those first people didn't like it who I think didn't know anything about the comic book. And personally, the Glenn and the Negan stuff were among some of my favorites. I was a little skeptical about Negan at first and who they casted to play him, but I thought he did a very good job playing the Negan now in Dead City. I can't say, uh, right, in Dead City, I don't know if the Negan character is the best, but when we first got that introduction to Negan, I it was among my favorite. But like you said, Carl was just kind of the line in the sand for me. Like, I was very disappointed in that, and I stepped away from The Walking Dead, like, I had to. I had to personally step away from The Walking Dead as a fan. I'm not I didn't do videos and stuff like you guys did, but as a fan, I just couldn't watch it, and, like, it took me a while to actually put The Walking Dead kinda back on and be like, "Let's just see what happens and see how they end this thing." So,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
Carl.
yeah. Carl's got to be probably the top one for sure. Um, you know, I speak bad about Gimple as a lot of people do, and good, sometimes. Just that he has written some of my, I guess, favorite episodes or favorite scenes, but at the same time, some of the worst. So it's like, kind of goes hand in hand. But overall, uh, like the Lizzie and Mika thing, they changed that a little bit from the comic. It was a couple of boys in the comic, and Carl handled it, so it was different how they put it together. But I like that. I was okay. Okay, it's two different universes, comic universe, you got the show universe, and yeah, things can be different. And some things I didn't mind, like that. But then there's some things they changed, like Tyrese. I wish, we got more comic Tyrese story than the one they made up for him. But when you start changing characters, that's hard. You bring in Daryl, you combine two characters into one or something, and you start giving what some people do in the comic to different characters in the show. You write yourself in a corner, kind of okay, it's not going to play out that way. So some things they changed I like, some things I didn't. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah. No, I agree. Honestly, I would say that a lot of the changes that they made were good. Certain ones are good, certain ones are bad. It's kind of a 50-50 for me when it comes to the TV show, and certain things they did better in the comics, certain things they did better on the show. I honestly think they did about an even amount. Certain things I think were better on the show, and then certain things were, obviously the opposite. But I would say in general, I think The Walking Dead has done a good job. The one thing I think that they really did good with, and like you mentioned, Scott Gimple, obviously these days I'm a little less nice to his writing style because I think he's gone a little bit more money hungry rather than passionate about the story. Sometimes you can just feel that with writers where it's like they're in it for the money more than the actual story. I kind of feel like that's where we've gone with him to this point, but I will say I agree with you though. I do think that he's written some of the greatest Walking Dead episodes, and I will still give him his praise where I can. I think some of the early seasons, when you look at season 4, season 5, season 6, he show ran those seasons, and those had some of the greatest episodes of even television. I would even argue, like, there's some of the greatest stuff of TV that you'll find in those seasons, but then
Yeah.
it kind of something somewhere happened because something after that, it's like it was never the same. His writing style, it's like it turned. I don't know what went wrong. I really don't, but I think he was really good for the show for a time, and then it shifted. I don't know what happened.
I enjoyed All Out War. I thought that was some of my favorite parts of The Walking Dead. I thoroughly enjoyed All Out War. And
Can
there are people who argue with me until And I'm like, "But you don't understand." Like, literally, it brought me back to the pilot. It brought me back to the pilot where I felt like I was flipping through the pages of the comic book, and I enjoyed that. And like you said, there was just something that switched off after that, and I don't and we can go it kind of goes back to Carl. Like, I feel like just from that moment, everything after that, they went into scramble mode, and it's like they didn't know what to do with the story at that point. And I don't know. I just
Yeah. What's up, Father Daniel? Good to see you, man. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Father Daniel, great to see you, man.
We are raising a little hell here on the stream. No, we've been pretty nice. We've been pretty nice. Um, so a lot of people ask me, basic questions like who's my favorite character and things like that. I always say Rick just because I guess he is, but I like other characters too. Carol's her story arc is one of my favorites. Just the way everything's happened to her. She got a little wonky around season 10 and but that's happened with Rick too. He got a little wonky there at some point, but the characters, some of the greatest characters, I think the season 1 casting, I guess other actors could have been just as good, but I just think the chemistry, the actors they put together in the beginning helped sell the show. The story's good anyway. The comic was good. We knew that, but I don't know. Something about that casting just really helped propel the show for me back in the beginning.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think Andrew Lincoln, to be honest, that might even be why there's something missing right now. Honestly, I think he brings a certain charisma that nobody else, and there's incredible actors on this franchise. So it's obviously they're all great for what they do. But Andrew Lincoln's kind of what brought me in. That was the guy right there. That like his charisma, his presence. There was something about him that just made it so gripping. I remember, and I don't know if anybody else felt this, but when Andrew Lincoln left The Walking Dead, I was kind of open to the idea at first because I was like, okay, we're getting the whispers. Like you can almost tell they really shoved that in our faces to be like, don't leave because we have the whisper storyline, And it was I thought it was really great, but the moment that you started to feel it, I felt like was after the whispers, after that whole thing it kind of hit a bit of a dry period for me. And then I was like, that's when I was like, where's Rick? Where's Rick? I kind of started asking that question. And then when The Ones Who Live happened, when episode 1 happened, and I flicked that episode on, I felt like I was a kid again. When episode 1 started and I saw Rick and I heard his voice again, it was just like this is what we've been missing. And that's why he's always been my
Mm-hmm.
favorite character cuz when I saw episode 1 of The Ones Who Live and I saw him, chop his hand off and all these crazy moments and I was like, yeah, this feels like a classic era Walking Dead episode with Rick leading again. I think if they were to bring him back as a leading character, I think we would feel some of those OG Walking Dead vibes. I really think some of that would come back.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that. See you later, Walter. Thanks for showing up and talking with us. We'll be doing more of these. So
Oh
join
yeah,
the Discord.
100%.
If you guys aren't on Dan's Discord or mine or Dana's, somebody's, we'll keep a schedule and try to keep you guys notified about it and stuff. So we'll definitely be doing more. And
yes.
so, I want to get into maybe talking about some other shows, what we like, and some other things a little bit. But to wrap
Well,
up on
and
the
can
what's
I bring up something from the Discord? We do have somebody who was in the Discord and had a few questions, and
okay,
I thought they were kind of interesting. So I told them that I would bring it up on tonight's
yeah,
live stream.
yeah,
And the
do it.
first, it's from somebody named Clark Kent, and I love the name. And they just popped in out of nowhere, and I loved some of the questions. And his first question was, I'm just scrolling up to it. How did the virus get to New York?
Hmm.
And when
Interesting.
I was talking to him, I kind of broke it down like, well, I think it's not that the virus got to New York, meaning somebody got bit, walked into New York. I think it more so had to do with the premise of we're all infected. So once everything started happening and the people kind of started dealing with it in New York, it got to New York the same time as it did everywhere else. But what do you guys think? How did the virus get to New York?
Hmm. You
Yeah,
know,
the
that's
the
I
premise is that everybody got
uh,
infected almost at the same time. So, and
yeah.
that's never explained because you've got the Fear the Walking Dead submarine. They were under the water. They got infected. So, did it happen before they left for their mission? It didn't, in the Walking Dead world, what's his name in Fear, the little boy in first season said, I've been seeing things on the internet for weeks or whatever, and then Dr. Jenner said that stuff about it's been so many days, so it's like it was there before what we call day one of the thing. So it might have been a little slow rollout, but however it happened, even people in the submarine got infected.
I agree. Almost like an airborne thing of some kind. Like it's like it's like once everybody or one person has it, the next person's infected. It kind of just spirals like that. I think that's why so much of the population went down so quick. Honestly, that's one of the elements I actually find very interesting about Daryl Dixon season 3, even though the season hasn't released yet. One of the things they talk about in the teasers is that new Julian character. He says like you're looking at the last guy in England or whatever, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like that's insane. Like he's like we have gone to that point where there's that little people left. That's how quick that virus goes. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. They got another question?
And then, yes, the second question was when we saw that flashback to Shane in the hospital, and he wanted to know, why did the soldiers shoot everybody? Did we ever get an answer for that? And I don't think I don't remember if we got an answer to
Right.
that.
But not directly. Real quick though, Retro Hick asked, "What is the Discord?" The link's in the chat
Oh,
somewhere.
I was in the middle of getting ready to
She
drop it
can
before.
post it again, but it should be in
Yep,
the chat there to join a Discord. And
here we
once you
go.
get in there, whatever link you follow, join everybody's. Be a part of the community.
I
Dan,
gotta join these other servers honestly.
Dana,
So
Scarlet. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, a
so
lot of stuff going
send
on.
these
Big
in.
community
But
building.
we're just getting James up and running. We're just getting him all situated and getting his Discord all nice. So we're getting there with James's Discord. But yeah, Clark Kent was just curious on why the
um,
soldiers just shot everybody.
that's the same thing. You see it. Dana and Scarlet and the part of the community is watching the series All of Us Are Dead. I don't know if you've seen it, Dan. It's a Korean zombie
Oh
show.
yeah,
There's a
I
season one.
really enjoy that series.
Yeah, yeah. So the season 2 is about to come out, and we were doing a live watch party. So in that show, we've just got to the point where they decided you we don't know if people's infected or not, so we're not going to rescue anybody else. The only solution is to bomb everything and try to make sure nobody gets out of that containment area, right? And I think that's the thinking that in The Walking Dead anyway that they implied with the soldiers. We don't know if these people are infected or not. We think they are. We're just going to shoot them. I think a lot of that happened. uh, they lose control of an area. Sorry if there's, live people in there. We're going to quarantine it or destroy it or whatever. And you got to kind of admit sometimes if you think about the situation, are you going to save millions of people or are you going to save that 30,000 that you need to bomb, you know, or whatever?
That's very true. You got to think about like the what it's going to do to you ultimately. One of the things I really like about All of Us Are Dead is just how like the zombies are just insane. Like
Oh, they're
I'm
my
glued to the
favorite.
screen every 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. See you later, Walking Dead expert. Thanks for hanging out, showing up.
Right? And
Yeah.
I'm so glad because I feel like we've been watching with our poor Scarlet. We've just been tormenting her with zombies lately. And we threw her into Dead City. We threw her into The Last of Us. And finally she's enjoying, right, Scarlet? Like All of Us Are Dead are just
Hey, Kiwi.
Yeah, oh yeah, All of Us Are Dead are
it's
definitely more of what I would want to see a zombie TV series as opposed to what we normally get over here with zombie TV series. Movies I don't mind. Zombies, I like that genre. It's usually quick, even if it has, multiple movies in the franchise or whatever. I can usually handle those. But yeah, TV series over here, I'm trying to be nice. They're just not my cup of tea.
Right, right. And that's the thing, we can definitely still bring up Walking Dead or talk anything about it. But what are some of the other shows you're getting into on your channel, Dan?
I've I've done a lot, so I'll only go into a few, obviously, but I would say my favorite TV show that's airing right now, and I've been obsessed with it. I mean, I've been obsessed with it since I started watching it, honestly. If anybody has not seen Dexter Resurrection,
oh, I just started
it's
and
so
I'm
good.
hooked.
It's
I'm
insane.
hooked.
It
Yeah, I agree.
is.
I just started as well because I've
It's
just got
awesome.
so much on the blade. It's like I got to push stuff around just to watch a new series or something. So I just started it as well, and I can agree. And I like New York in that show even better than I like New York and Dead City. Just something
Yes.
about it,
Yeah.
the way
Well,
they're doing
you
it.
know, it's funny you bring that up actually, because I remember, if you recall, in season 2, episode 1 of Dead City, in the opening scene, you see Radio City, right? And you see that,
Mhm.
that big shot of it lighting up. And, I won't really get into specifics for Dexter Resurrection because obviously you guys are, catching up. So I won't go into any specifics, of course. But it is one of the ones where I remember there's a shot and you see New York and I see Radio City lit up in the background and you get this beautiful establishing shot. And I'm like, see, there's the difference between a New York series that doesn't have a budget and a New York
Right,
series that has a high budget with intriguing storylines.
right, right. Father Daniel asked about All of Us Are Dead. That's on Netflix. So check
Yes.
it out. Check it out and join the
Yes.
discords. We did a watch party on the first season. We're about wrapped up, but we may do the second season as well. You can join us in there, and it'll be
Yes.
fun.
It
But
is
yeah,
it is
the
really good.
the
Dexter's been good.
resurrection. Yeah, I would recommend that. Uh, the original season and all the way through to this thing. If you haven't saw it, it's pretty good.
Dexter is it's a great series. You know what's funny? I only watched it last year. Admittedly, I am kind of a newer viewer
Me
to it.
too. Me too.
But I kept hearing so much about it last year, and I was just like, yeah, like okay, like people really want me to review this, and I was like, man, Walking Dead's kind of going down the rough path. So I was like, let's get into this. Let's see if anybody enjoys it, and it really did great. Not only that, I thought it was really good. The character of Dexter is so gripping, but it's not even just him. Like the characters are all incredible. Like Angel Batista, Deborah Morgan. Like I mean, there's so many great characters. They really know how to tell a compelling story. They really do. It's this new season. I was kind of nervous about it. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, man, can they still keep the same momentum going as the original show had? And they really knocked it out of the park. I have to
Yeah.
say, it's
I
keeping
Yeah,
that same
hesitated.
tension.
yeah,
I definitely hesitated because I was so nervous from the hot garbage that was, which are not the prequel that they did, because I thought the kid who played the young Dexter did a really good job. But that other one where he was out in the woods and doing whatever they were doing out there, I was like, oh yeah, this show just needs to stop now. So I was really nervous that this was was going to be another money grab type of situation. Like we're just going to keep going so we could make money off the Dexter. But people have been saying, watch it. Watch it.
hmm
And when you have so many people coming to you saying, no, it's good, no, it's good. Yeah, I tend to trust the people that like kind of watch our lives, know what we review and stuff like that. And it's definitely been on the list of things. And today I was just sitting down. I was like, you know what? I'm going to knock out a few episodes. And I was sad I had to stop. Like, I was
right,
like, I
right,
wanna keep going, cause I actually like, I'm like, "This is what I wish Dead City was. This is what I wish we got
Right.
in New York." Like, this you actually see New York in Dexter, and I'm just like, this is what I wish Dead City was. Because now comparing Dead City to Dexter, you could certainly tell that Dead City is not actually in New York and it's studio based or
Mm-hmm.
wherever else they filmed, but
Yeah.
Dexter is in the thick of it and it's New York City. And even Miguel was like, those are real places. Like, though I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of figured. Like, he's like, yeah, that hotel is like really there.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
just
That's what I was
like,
saying. When I started watching, I thought of you, Dana, and it's like totally different shows as far as how to approach just the production side of it. Holy crap. I mean, and in Alien Earth, I forget, let me scroll back up. Who was it mentioned that? Kiwi did. Kiwi Skirt. Um, and she's from the future, just in case, Dan.
yes, yes.
She's from the future. Uh, she lives in a time zone where everything happens a little early. But anyway,
She gets everything first. She's always
Right.
ahead of us. She is
yeah,
Lucky.
yeah,
the only thing she
yeah.
can't get us is the lotto numbers. We've tried.
Right, right.
We've tried to figure that out, and that's the only thing we haven't been able to get.
Yeah.
Can you please, if you since you're from the future, can you give us all the new Resurrection episodes? Can you give us that?
But the what were we talking about? The Dexter and the New York stuff, Alien Earth. She mentioned Alien Earth. To me, that too, that's an FX show. Production is just beyond. I mean, I'm only a couple, 3 episodes in, but the production on that, especially if you want to compare it to The Walking Dead, it's just two totally different ways to approach
Yep.
production.
I'm seeing a comment here in your chat that that's kind of funny. Is yeah, Father Daniel just said Dan plowed through Dexter within a few months. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
I
picked that
did.
up.
I have to be honest. I remember I watched like a season, maybe a week, here and there when I wasn't busy. I'd squeeze an episode in,
Same.
and it was so addicting. It was insane.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Um,
I was late to the party with Dexter, but
I
once
like
I
the
got
concept.
started, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop watching that series.
Yeah, same here. It's awesome.
Retro Hick joined the Discord. Can't find the other two. You could probably get to them through if you join mine through my Discord. Find them, but if you want to post those links, Dana, um,
I'm doing it right now.
and
I'm not as
Cindy.
fast as some of our other mods, so please just bear with me.
Cindy
I'm
asked
a
what a little
novice.
crown is with a number 1 and 2, and that's something YouTube's doing. You can like be the top commenter or something like that, and I don't think you actually win an
And
actual
if
anything,
you have
just
a
the
Discord and
just
you want to
the
drop it in
namesake.
James's Discord, I could copy and paste it and post it in the chat if you want me to post any of your links.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Feel free. Yeah.
So Zender Lorian, it's a cool name. People who chat first and keep chatting. I don't know. That's the answer, I guess, to what's the little crown. I think the more you chat, or like, it's like whoever is involved the most, or something like made the most chats, or something like that. You might be number 1.
Like whoever comments the most.
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
noticed that.
yeah. Comments the most. Yeah. Well, we got in Scarlet's Discord, and we'll have Dana's Discord. The links are in the chat there. Retro says thank you guys, and you got to thank Dana. She's amazing. As far as show, stay up there. There it is. Helping me out with the Discord and helping me out in here, putting these links and stuff like that. So that's what I mean when I say community. It's you guys. Like I said, Dan and Scarlet and Dan and myself, we wouldn't be here without you guys. So it's a big thank you back to you guys for being here, showing up, watching this, watching our videos as we post them and stuff like that. But the community, it is a community, like even inside here, Dana's helping me out so much as far as doing that. And we all help each other out on the channels and stuff. So, it's YouTube just surpassed television as far as people watch YouTube on their television more than they watch other television. So
Wow.
YouTube is a big thing. It's not just something you watch on your laptop anymore or anything like that. It's really grown. And even with, if you want to talk about the news and media and different things like that, people are going to YouTubers. YouTubers are spreading the information, making the entertainment, doing the reviews, even though we're not qualified. But
Yeah, apparently.
Qualified.
Thanks, Greg, for that one.
but this is where it's
Hashtag
at.
unqualified.
So you guys join the Discord, join the community, all kinds of things going on.
I
Yeah.
I remember when Greg Nicotero said that, because I haven't really said my piece on it. I mean, I've done videos on it. I'm sure a lot of people have seen those ones, but in terms of me actually addressing it here, I remember when he said that. I remember I just sat there, and for the first time ever as a content creator, I actually sat there and told myself, what have I been doing this for? Like, these guys obviously, like people like Greg Nicotero. I'm like, Greg Nicotero, man, you really need to appreciate your fans, because
Mhm.
the people that criticize you or the people that compliment you, either one, it's because they care. It's because they enjoy what you do, or they care at least about what you do, and they want to see it succeed. So him saying that, we should just not say anything, just keep it all positive, and not share our criticism. I think that kind of defeats the purpose of what we do here. You know what I mean? So I think
Mhm.
that's
Totally.
interesting the way he put that. And I will admit, I definitely lost a lot of respect for him, because I was like, man,
Same.
when
Same.
Craig Nicotero, look, like, he's an incredible and very talented man. He absolutely is. And it's really nothing against him. But when I saw the way he talked about that, I'm like, man, people like, me and you guys and you, James, and, obviously so many other people, that I could name, Trash Chan 2, and Movie Idol, and Jerry's Takes, and so many other people around here that do what they do. It's like, it's so impressive to me, because all the hours we put into our Walking Dead content, all the hours we put into talking about this, and for him to kind of just go out there and say that, I'm like, yeah, but here's the difference, is that we are what keep you going. Without the viewers, without those views pulling in your ratings, which is us as the fans, your show wouldn't even be on TV. So I think that's one of the things he definitely should have realized.
Right.
He
And
said the quiet part out loud. He said the
yeah,
quiet part out
I
loud.
mean, he's
And
done so
he's
much, but at the same time, it's like, dude, yeah, you're the artist. You've done the makeup, you've done the directing, you've done the writing, you've done all of that producing. Awesome, man. And we appreciate it, but maybe appreciate us.
Exactly. It goes, both ways. It's like, well, thank you very much for all the incredible effects you've done. A great episode directing, and everything else he does. And I will admit, nobody sticks at a job for 15 years of a series and stays that passionate about it. So I will definitely give him credit. I just think he needs to respect the fans that are so passionate about The Walking Dead, that we call out things we don't like, and we compliment things we do like. So
Mhm.
it's, I think that's kind of a normal, it's funny. I'm surprised I even have to, like, acknowledge it, but I guess apparently it has to be acknowledged, which is pretty insane.
You still with us, Dana?
I am. My internet just started to play the game.
Um, say something else, Dan.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
All right. I might have been my connection. Your mic messed up a
Oh,
little bit right there at the end,
I
but it
thought
could
it
have been my
possibly could
connection.
just be my crap and my crap internet.
But you're back. You sounded good right then.
Hmm.
So then, all right, you got Dexter. What else you got?
I will say, another series I've been watching recently that I've been pretty into. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was into it, and then it kind of took me out a little bit. But I still want to acknowledge it, because it is apocalypse related. Yeah, The Last of Us. Has anybody been watching that?
We
Well, you don't
did.
want to know what we think about The Last of Us. Scarlet, I'll let you take that one.
Sounds good.
I don't know, Dana.
Yeah.
You did the best storytelling with the birthday cake and everything.
Oh man, see, we started out. I swear, we did live stream reviews on The Last of Us season 2, and the first episode was, oh, this is okay. This could be okay, maybe, and then it went to, holy crap, what the hell am I watching? So that was what we thought of season 2, I think.
Yeah.
What'd you
Yeah,
Yeah,
think?
it got garbage.
it was rough. I was kind of a fan of the first season when it came out. I was like, man, this is a pretty good adaptation. Like, I'm all right with this. And then the second season, it's like they kind of just, for me in particular, the problem was the writing of Ellie's character just felt so unlike the game. For anybody that's played the game, it felt like a totally different person, and not in a good way either. Like, it felt like it was like, okay, like this character is losing me, when in the second game she's what gripped me, and in the show it was like they turned Ellie into a almost like a overly happy-go-lucky, you know, on a honeymoon with her girlfriend type of thing, which I really think they did too much of. It didn't feel like we were on a revenge path after a while.
Right, right. Yeah, I didn't play the games myself. I watched like gameplay on YouTube though, so I did know the story, and that kind of stuff. And it had its moments. The battle when the stuff things come up out of the snow and fought the town. I like stuff like that. Big scene. I thought they did it well, but just the overall writing, the way they did the character Ellie, the way to me, it had a lot of slow spots. Just I think the way they changed the character Tommy was one of the biggest downfalls of the story, I guess, the way I see it.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
with
they didn't
racism.
use them full on, which is
Right.
kind of strange.
Which he was a big part of what made the story, seems like. And they just left him
Yes,
out.
they sure did.
Yeah, I think The Last of Us, it was kind of an interesting time because for entertainment. That's why I'm so grateful for Dexter Resurrection right now, because
Right.
I remember I watched The Last of Us. That was one of the first big shows that came out this year, and I was like, this isn't doing it for me. Besides a few zombie battles and a few good character moments. I'm not going to say it was all bad, but I was like, it's not really for me. And then I remember Dead City came on, and I was thinking, oh man, save us with apocalypse content. And then Dead City, it wasn't really all that great either. And then Dexter's now came out, and I'm like, wow, a great show to enjoy. I was pretty happy. I was like,
Right.
all right, because for a time there, man, there was some really up and down shows for a few months there. I was like, wow,
Totally.
like damn.
Totally. And it's refreshing. Like just sitting there watching episode 1 of Dexter Resurrection, you could tell it's going to be a good show. But by episode 2, you're like, wow, like you start comparing it to other shows, and it's just like there's so much crap out there. And then you can see how it can work if they just do it right. And I was very I didn't have any expectations because I didn't really like that in between one they made. I didn't watch the prequel series, but I watched that what was it called? The one after the main series ended, they had a little where his son
Oh,
shot him.
yes.
Or
Oh,
spoiler
it's the
alert.
one in the forest. The
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
forest.
know it's Dexter New Blood.
New
Yeah.
Blood.
Oh,
Yeah, New Blood.
forest.
That one I was like, I don't know about this. So when they come out with Resurrection, I'm like, I don't know, and I totally told myself I'm going to wait and see what other people say about it. And then it's like, I don't know if I found anybody that didn't like it, you
You
know?
Right?
know,
We've been getting
uh,
hounded. We've been getting hounded by people. What do you got to talk about Dexter? And we get Scarlet. We're just like, it's on the list, but I had to choose today. I was like, it was either going to be Dexter or Alien. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to check out Dexter. And now, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to finish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a
awesome.
good one.
I'm going to finish it.
And see you later, Cindy. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, new friends. That's what it's all about.
The great community, great community of people around here that we have. It's awesome to see.
Have you dabbled in From?
Oh, I've dabbled in From. Oh, I love that show. I tell you what, that show is honestly, it's the horror and scariness and tension that I miss from The Walking Dead. That's why I love it so much. It's incredible. The characters are great. The writing is incredible. Big passion show of mine right there for right now. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. We like it.
Yes. That's how we kind of found each other was through
Right.
From. So
Awesome.
you are more than welcome. We do content creator roundtables, so we kind of bring all different kind of like James is trying to do with The Walking Dead, and we just come and we talk From on Scarlett's channel, and You are more than welcome for one of the episodes to come and join us if you'd like.
Thank you very much. It's well, I will say I'd be down. I mean, the show is incredible, and not to mention, yeah, no, I'm always down to do collaborative content. I do so much of it that honestly, I can't get enough of it. I would love to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of the community where me and Scarlet met, and like a lot of people, and then we started just meeting other content creators who do From. So From is definitely, I think, like our like our trophy show. That's where
Yeah,
we
probably
started.
so. There's a lot of people in the chat that chimed up saying From is good. Yeah, it's to me, I like stuff that doesn't have a book or a movie or a comic or something already. You know, when you give me something original, um, and it's good, that's impressive to me. You know, and From was just impressive to me. And I like the show. I love the actors, the story, and all the mystery and all of that. But just that it wasn't based on anything makes it that much better.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes like when you don't have anything to base it off on and it's just simply a creative mind, like they just come up with it and make a show on it. I think From kind of wins in that department. Is like, yeah, you got great characters. Boyd is one of my favorite leads I've seen on a TV show in a hot minute. I can't even lie. And not only that, I mean, there's so many interesting characters. Sarah is one for me that like I won't really go into specifics, I guess, for anybody that wants to see the show, but I will tell you that's a character journey that I did not expect to go down the way it has, and it's been incredible. And there's numerous other characters. I mean,
Hmm.
honestly, that show really it did something honestly that I wanted from TV for a while. Like it made me feel nervous about the characters. And I mean, I guess for anybody that's never seen it, I'll give you a basic idea. The characters kind of have to be in one specific spot, so the story gets very interesting because of that. And I think that's the strong point of the show is because the characters have to be in a specific spot. It almost makes the show that much more immersive because it's like, oh, wow, okay, these characters have no other choice but to work together, no
Right.
matter if they like it or not. So it
Yeah.
makes it really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And people were talking about, and I think I mentioned the adaptions, remakes. You know, over them for sure. And I think we were just saturated a lot. You know, there for a little while. So when something like From comes out, we're like, oh, there's not an asshole somewhere on the internet that already knows what's going to happen and tell me, you know, and that kind of thing. Everybody is in the dark pretty much, and that's one thing that's rare these days,
That's
I
what makes
think.
it so exciting. Eh?
Yeah.
What's funny is from actually films in my country as well. It films up here in Canada, which is insane. I've tried to kind of well, I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking I'm like, man, like should I like visit some of these sets at one point? Should I actually kind of go see what's going on? Because I'm like, man, honestly, it'd be cool to see some of it. Honestly, I've kind of gotten to a point with that show where I'm like, man, like I need that next season. Like I heard it's supposed to come out next year, and I'm like, man, I am ready. I will say I am very excited.
Oh yeah, that's one I can't wait for it to start back, because there's a huge, you know, by the time the last season ended, I think everybody was talking about the show. When it first started, there was just a handful, but it like grew and
Yep.
grew and grew.
Yeah,
Got
and
pretty
I
big.
mean, I won't say any specifics for anybody that may want to watch the show, but I will say the way season 3 ended, I really, I really need to see where that goes. They left me with my jaw on the floor, man. I can't lie.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll have to join us. I'm going to try to get a few people, Dane, of course, Scarlet, and some people they know, and some other creators I know that would want to talk about From. And you'll have to join us. I'd like to put together like a theory, just a theory talk where it's, we'll say up front we're talking about it, like spoilers. You know, if someone hasn't watched the show, so we can freely discuss the show openly and do a theory type video, before the next season comes on for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Which definitely feel free to reach out honestly at any time. I mean, if I can be on at that time, if I'm not doing anything, I would love to come on and talk about that show because it's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And it's one of those things you almost have to get your head back into it a little bit, it's to do something like that. So we'll have to
Yep,
have
you gotta put your tinfoil hat back on.
a
Yeah.
heads up of at least a week or two for us to all to, okay, get my head back in it, kind of thing. But
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
season 4 of From, they released one picture of production, and there's a new building they've built. Yeah, so it's going to be exciting because I do think there'll be a time jump, right? Because of that last scene. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but
They're going to be
and
playing with time. You can
yeah,
definitely tell.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's From is one. We do Yellow Jackets. I'm watching Foundation. I'm not reviewing it episode by episode, but I may do like a multi-episode review here in a day or so. It's a pretty big show. I don't know if you guys watch it. I don't think Dana does, but it's a sci-fi thing. It's Isaac Asimov. Epic. To me, it's a epic type thing, and so I really like it. It's got a good budget. The visuals and all that kind of stuff's top notch. The acting. But I don't know. Anything coming up that should be on our radar? Dexter Resurrection. A lot of people were talking about. It's just, I guess, you never know if it's going to be that good or not, and it seems like it's really, really good. But anything else you got on the radar?
I'm actually kind of trying to think of what I've watched recently. I will say, in terms of what I've watched, a lot of the big titles I've been watching has either been Dexter Resurrection, obviously keeping up with The Walking Dead. Obviously, I've been reviewing Lost on my channel, which that's an older show, but that's one that I've
It's one
been
of Dana's favorites.
covering.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that one
gosh.
messes with your mind, man. That one's insane. That's
Those
a
are and
crazy
that's
show.
they're they're connected with From, so I love it.
Right.
My theories are all lost from kind of connected, and because my brain just can't shut it off.
Yeah, that show Lost is another one that I really like. It makes you think. It
What's that,
constantly.
Vic?
I've never had a show that as genuinely. I think I have it right, and then they'll throw something else in there, and I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm completely wrong. I have no idea.
Kiwi is my Lost buddy. And Scarlet, even Scarlet's new to Lost, like you. So it's very interesting when I come across people who have watched From before Lost, because it's so different from me who've seen Lost first to From. So I love hearing new people's thoughts on Lost.
Yeah, and I started Lost last year. I finally finished it. I haven't reviewed everything yet. I still have yet to cover some of the rest of it, but I will say, like, it's one of those shows where a lot of people are very divisive on the conclusion. I thought
Yep,
it concluded very well. I'm one of those few
same.
people that thought it actually ended in a way where I sat there and I was like, wow, okay, I'm with this. This is really good. So that's another one I've been very interested in is Lost.
Yeah, it's a deep one of those. In the time, I don't know. It's weird because you're saying you just kind of binged it, I guess. Um, when you're back when it came out on TV, we were in a different age, I guess it's the way to put it, right? The internet was real
Yes.
new, and stuff like that. So it was so. I do wonder, and I'm like with Dana. It's interesting to hear people who are just now tuning into it versus who
Yes.
watched it episode by episode. Because even with The Walking Dead or anything, I guess it's a different experience. I think if you have to wait week to week versus binging something,
Yes.
it
Could you
changes a
imagine
little
what
bit.
Lost would be if it came out now? Just in the world of for viewers and the internet. Lost was really the first show that dabbled in the internet, meaning there was like groups that talked about it and message boards, and they incorporated websites and they did stuff, and they made I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a faux documentary out um of the Oceanic Six for Lost. And it's very interesting to watch and fills in a lot of stuff. So I will put it up in the Discord. I know it's somewhere. Kiwi might even have access to it, the faux doc, but it could be found on YouTube. And they made like this fake documentary that just is great. And they were the first to really kind of incorporate that stuff. And I just could only imagine what Lost would be if it was out now.
I
Like it would be insane. It would be insane.
I'm seeing a comment that I actually very much agree with from Father Daniel. Who says the people are mixed on the ending, but I loved it. It gets a little wacky in the last 2 seasons, but it's still an amazing show. That's exactly where I was. Is I watched like the whole show, the first 4 seasons. I loved it. Season 5, I was a little lost, if you will. That's a good word for it. Lost on kind of where things were going, and then I found 6 kind of brought me back a little bit. 6 was back to some good writing again, and then I thought, yeah, like I thought it ended very well. It's definitely in a top 10 favorite shows of mine. I don't know where I'd put it, but it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it was unique and
Yes.
out of the box. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but at the time it was. Now there's been other shows like it and things like that, but it was it had people questioning, like a lot of my friends. I hope my friends aren't listening or any of those people, but they don't like complicated shows that they have to really watch and try to figure out and understand. So like they don't like they don't like Lost, those kind of things. But I like to be challenged, I like the show to recognize me as a viewer and say, I care about you a little bit. I'm going to give you a mystery instead of I'm just going to throw some shit at you or something, and I don't care about you, kind of like what The Walking Dead seems to be doing. But
Yeah, you're right. No, that's a good analogy. Actually, is like it's like you look at Lost, and it's like you can tell they care about their fans because every single episode they leave you where that whole week you're going to talk about it with your colleagues at work, you're going to talk about it with your friends, you're going to talk about it with everybody because you're like, okay, if you haven't watched this show, you're going to have to watch it because like it's insane. That's what I liked about Lost. After I left every episode, even if we got answers, I'd have more questions, which I look at as a very positive thing. I like that I can, think about a show all the time in my head, even if I'm doing something completely unrelated to it, and I get a quick minute to think about it. I'm like, oh, that might be what's going on in that episode of Lost. Like when a show can do that for me, I think they've nailed it. However, yeah, no, that's definitely the case. I think shows that make you think is good, rather than a show right now like Daryl Dixon coming out where it's like I could probably predict that entire season. I could right now. I could
yeah,
probably predict to you where that's all gonna go. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
good to have shows that make you think
exactly.
like that.
Because a show like From season 4 coming, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can't tell you the story. They may show me a trailer and I can't tell you the story, right? You just
Yeah,
can't wait to watch it and watch it play out. But we know the story of Daryl Dixon season 3 just by watching a couple of promos. They tell us the story. Now we just got to wait to see it play out. We're not waiting for a mystery as much. We're not waiting for much of nothing, just to watch the story play out, you know?
definitely. That's kind of what it is, right? Is that it's like you watch a show like that, and it's like with the Daryl Dixon show. Like for example, I have a I because I do this on my channel all the time. Coming up this week, I told my viewers I was like, I'm gonna do a season 3 episode 1 predictions video. I'm gonna talk about what I think's gonna happen. I'm gonna do a exclusively just episode 1 predictions video on what I think's gonna happen. And I'm like, I can probably pick that episode apart already. Whereas with a show like From, if I were to do a predictions video on that show, which I probably will end up doing, but it's like I'm going to be sitting there probably scrambling, which that's what I like. I like to be able to sit there and say, "Oh man, maybe that won't happen." Actually, I changed my prediction. Actually, I think it'll go this way. When a show can do that, I think you've nailed it because you got my interest that high that it's like I'm just I'm saying one thing 1 minute and then saying another thing the other minute. It's like wow, that's a good job. That's a good show.
Right, right. Yeah, it's I know TV and production and writing. I know all that stuff's hard and it's not easy and it doesn't work every time. It just seems like, take Dead City season 2 or something, for example. It just seems like someone at the writing table, one of the producers, I don't know. It just seems like someone would say, hey, I hate to be the guy, but this story kind of sucks.
Oh, yeah. The way they're writing Negan's character in particular, I mean, the whole season he's fighting to try to get his family back, and then he finally gets the opportunity to be with his family, and he says, "Tell them to turn around. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?" And I'm like, "What?" But that was your whole mission, though. Like, you've lost me at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, that's the thing. Like, you could probably explain that, but it still don't make good sense when you put it with a bigger story. And like everything can be explained, but yeah, it shouldn't have to be explained that way. It should have worked better, or like the bear and just different things. It's like you had a chance to do something really great, but it was very lame in my opinion. And I know some people loved it, and that's cool. I hope everyone can respect everyone's opinion. And I'm not really hating on it. I love the Walking Dead story. I love the Walking Dead universe. I think Dan said it already that we're in it for the long haul. But it's, if you see something that seems a little cringy, I mean, we're just being honest.
I mean, I don't. I'm actually kind of curious to get some answers from pretty much everybody here. Honestly, um, am I alone in this, or is this Negan and Maggie banter bickering stuff like just gotten so old to where it's like I'm just not interested in their banter anymore? I'm like, I just want these two to either get along or separate at the at this point, because I'm like the tension between them is lost for me. I don't see it anymore. I'm kind of like, look, y'all hate each other at one moment, then you learn to work together at another moment. I'm kind of just sitting there and I'm saying, I don't know how interested I am in that anymore. I'm like, I think they need to just pick a lane, honestly, do one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. They just use it too much, and it's been a back and forth. And the thing is, in some of the reviews and the actor interviews and stuff going into the next season, they're saying it's finally, they resolved it at the end of last season, and that's it, no more of that stuff. But Herschel ran away from Maggie because of what happened and all that kind of stuff. So it's still there through Herschel, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't get away from it now. There's no way to get away from it almost at this point, but mainly because of Herschel for sure. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I
And
They are the most annoying two people to see on screen together. It is just it's on to me it's just not believable that those two would even in whether it be for Maggie's son or not, that Maggie would ever tolerate Negan in any way, shape, or form coming from the comic book side of it. But the villains just are horrible, and they just kill anybody who would be interesting. And like you said, you have the will they, won't they hate each other, they love each other, they want to work with each other, they don't want to work with each other. They're like, it's just so it's not interesting. It's just
yeah,
not an interesting story.
and
I
and
I
go ahead, Dan.
agree.
Oh, I was just saying, the thing to me is the spin-offs with Negan, Maggie, and Daryl Carroll have the same problem. We know they got plot armor, and they introduce a character, then they kill him. They introduce a character, then they kill him. Then they'll even say at the showrunner, well, this season is a reset, or something, and they introduce all new groups and they kill them. You can't. Yes, we're emotionally connected to the main characters, but we know they got plot armor. You don't let another character stay on screen long enough for us to get emotionally connected to them before you kill them off. And it's just frustrating. It's like there's no there, kind of, I don't know.
I agree. No, I completely agree. I can't help but laugh too when they you say the villains are bad. I completely agree. I think the villains in season two. I mean, like I said, this is honestly a Fear the Walking Dead level thing. When I see the scene made me laugh so bad. I still laugh at it just thinking about this scene. Is when you had the Dama that was like, "Look, I bit someone," and then it cuts to episode 5, and you've got Croat and the Dama, and they're sitting there in the room, and it's like, I've never seen such bad dialogue since Fear the Walking Dead. When they're in the office, they're arguing, both Croat and the Dama, and they're yelling at each other. And then he says, like, I remember Dama just looks at him, and she's like, "You are nothing without me." And then what's his counter argument? "You are nothing without me." And then he like goes into this big tangent. I'm like, oh, whoever wrote this obviously wanted to finish their script for the day and go home because that was awful. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It's you know, if some people liked it, that's fine, but it's just no depth. Not a lot of real depth to it all. I guess stuff's happening, but it's just things like one of the biggest things I can't seem to get past. I know I should just forget it and put it away, but it's every time an episode comes on and Maggie comes into the scene or Herschel. For whatever reason, she was at Hilltop. She didn't want to stay at Alexandrian with the other people or something. She thought, I want to lead my own group. I'm going to make the rules, whatever they are. No one's going to tell me what to do or whatever. Commonwealth came around. She's like, hell no, or whatever. Cool. But she was still close enough to Rick and that group if she needed help or whatever. Fine, but she moved her kid to a place called the Bricks, which was the most rundown looking place you ever saw. We're how many years into the apocalypse? You don't have to live like it's day 2, Maggie, you know? But she put Herschel in those conditions when he could be at Commonwealth, going to school, playing with Judith, being safe where she doesn't have to worry. She never has to worry about Herschel because there's an army and a wall protecting him. Does she have to play by a few rules? Maybe, but isn't that worth it versus I'm going to live at the Bricks and be under this weird community called New Babylon Federation that's going to come draft us and do crazy stuff and put us under weird laws. I don't, she wouldn't never put up with that at Hilltop if Rick come up and said, hey, we're forming a federation and you got to be a part of it and we're going to draft people from Hilltop. She'd been like, F you, Rick. It's just like, I don't know. The characters aren't the characters anymore or something. I don't know.
I agree. No, I do agree. It's funny you mentioned that because that's actually how I felt about it too. I remember I see Maggie looking at Herschel, and she's like, "Yeah, well, I'm doing the best I can to protect Herschel," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't need to though, because you have an entire actually by the timeline of Dead City, you have the CRM and the Commonwealth, which are these massive communities with all these resources that would help you thrive and survive for till you're in your old ages. Like." At that point, and so it's like you see this horrible falling apart community in episode 1 of Dead City, and I'm just like, but wait a minute, we don't need to do this. And you got Maggie, and this is the question I always have. Like with the Daryl Dixon series, I can get past it because we're overseas. Of course, he's not going to get help from these big communities. He's overseas, nobody knows he's there. But I'm like, yeah, but in Dead City, they would know, I would assume, because they're not that far away from home. Like, you mean to tell me that, the Commonwealth isn't going to come in there and when Maggie's in the middle of a fight with the Barazi and she doesn't know how to defeat them, instead of going to New Babylon, why don't you just phone, someone at, Commonwealth or the CRM and be like, hey, it's Maggie, me and Negan have a problem. There's this group in New York that are trying to kill us and all this other stuff and whatever. And it's like, okay, we'll send a few CRM choppers in, because we have that now, or we'll send some Commonwealth troops in to help take care of this. But it's like she doesn't even acknowledge anything about the Commonwealth or CRM. I'm like, did something happen in this time gap that we don't know? Because if not, it's very weird. It's weird that she wouldn't call for help.
Yeah, I agree. It's I mean, but like they said, they're keeping them. There's no connectivity. So, I mean, even in Dead City, I mean, I could see, okay, that's how you bring in Dwight and Sherry back, or that's how you bring Morgan back somehow, and then it circles back around to Rick. But it seems like they're really stuck on or serious when they said there's no like connection to any other character, you know?
Well, and it's like with Daryl being overseas, I can I can get behind that because he's overseas. You're not going to get all these connections here and there. Unless you're back in the states. So with that one, I'm a little bit more lenient. The Dead City one is just it's almost hard to grasp a little bit because it's like for a fact that if Rick heard Maggie was in trouble with this group, he would come and help. Which apparently in this timeline of Dead City, he's been home for a long time. So Rick would help her in a heartbeat. So it's like it's weird to me that we would like if this was a realistic series, Dead City. I think Rick would have already been here by now, and I think he would have helped her, and I think the Commonwealth would have saved her, and this whole thing with the Barazi would have been a wrap. I think it would have been done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I don't know. That goes back to wonder what Gimple has in his brain about all of
Whatever
this.
happens in his brain when he writes these episodes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's I don't know. It could go any way. It just I hope Dead City. I mean, I would like to see Dead City end by season 3, but it may get a season 4 as well. But I'm thinking it's hard for me to see it going past season 4 unless he announces some other series that's going to be right after Daryl Dixon that leads into or somehow can connect somehow to Dead City because of the timeline, of whatever may be going on in the world. So I don't know how they're going to make it play out. It's just, Scott Gimple, I don't know if I'm sure you did. I forget what interview it was. He said, like one of the people asked him in an interview, like what the Dead City's supposed to be so many years ahead. And he's like, oh, wait a minute there. I don't know. The timeline's real fluid. And I'm like, what? How can you just decide where Dead City's going to be in the timeline whenever you make a future decision? Like it almost sounded like, let me see if I can get this one series worked out I'm working on, with Andy or whatever. And if we can, then Dead City may move around a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's very true. It's like, Dead City's timeline, I think, is our future. I think that's definitely our future for Walking Dead because there's no way that they're going to go further than that right now, and there's no way they're going to go further back, obviously, because we got to focus on the main characters. So I'm thinking Dead City will probably be where when everything does eventually merge, that'll probably be where everything goes, is like that timeline range. So you could almost say Dead City is more important in that element, although it's tough to say because I wonder, like, will Dead City really matter when this ends? That's the part I'm more so curious about. Like, when Daryl Dixon ends with season 4 and whenever Dead City ends, which my prediction is season 4, I think they're going to try to do the same amount of seasons. Where when they end both of them, my question is, I wonder which one's going to matter more. I wonder if one of them is going to feel more like filler more than the other one. Like I wonder if one's
Right.
going to feel like, oh, like this one I kind of wasted my time with, but that other show I kind of thought ended in a way that in my opinion, I think Daryl Dixon's going to feel more like it had a purpose. That's my prediction on it, at least. Like when everything's done, I think I'm going to look at Daryl Dixon and say, okay, I think that one just mattered a little bit more, but I could be. I mean, I could definitely be wrong about that too. Who knows? It all depends on how Daryl ends, honestly. If he stays in Spain and the show ends there, I think a lot of fans are going to be like, "Really? Wow, that's unfortunate right
Look,
there. Wow."
that will be even, we talked earlier about Carl being the big decision, right? It almost feels like Gimple and Nicotero and all these people, AMC, is a better way to say it, I guess, bent the fans over, you know what I'm saying, and effed them because they killed Carl. But if Rick and Daryl don't reunite, that will be the biggest, like, it'll be history. Like, people will be talking about that as the worst decision, worst thing that, should have happened but never happened in any franchise. Almost. I mean, that's huge. It's huge. It's got to happen. I mean, for the franchise to be not talked
Complete.
about. Yeah. I mean, people will driving in on the ground, even people that's loved it and been with it for 15 years or longer, they'll be like, well, F that show, because it didn't have that ending that everyone expects. So, yeah, I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree. It's pretty insane, honestly. I think in terms of, at least in terms of the Walking Dead universe, I think we just need to build to a conclusion. Hopefully, we get that conclusion. I'm a big believer that I think the Walking Dead, rather than dragging out for 10 to 20 more years, I'm one of those people that says, listen, a couple more years, build to your conclusion, give us a big just final hurrah, and then I would say walk away with it. Honestly, I think that'd be the best thing for them. I think at this point, give us a good couple more years, make sure to end it properly, let plan it out, make sure you got the right story, and I would say conclude it. Honestly, because I think it's nicer to look back at a series that concluded well than a series that went on too long and then it didn't ever get that ending that, it needed to. And that's kind of the worry I have with The Walking Dead right now, admittedly, with these shows, is like I'm like, are we not gonna hit the opportunity where these shows end? Like, are we always just gonna kind of keep dragging these on and not have a definitive ending? Because that would hurt The Walking Dead's title for sure if it never had a definitive ending for all these characters.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Let me get my mouse clicking right. Gold Worm says after a while, shows become Law and Order. SVU just ended already. I know, right? Some things last.
True.
Some things can do it. I guess I don't watch The Simpsons like continuously, but it's lasted forever, and people seem to enjoy it. So some shows can do it, especially a cartoon-like show. But yeah, live action shows, especially if they don't. I don't know. I think them losing source material, they didn't do the greatest with the source material, but them losing source material threw them for a loop a little bit. And not every franchise, I can't really name very many franchises that did do well once the source material ran out, you know? So
I
I don't know.
absolutely agree. Um, I'm kind of seeing it here. I've got about 10 more minutes I can stay on, and then
Okay.
unfortunately I'll have to
No
head
problem.
out. So
I know it's
10
getting late. It's
minutes.
already been 2 hours. So we'll wrap it up. Since we've only got 10 minutes, I'll leave the floor open. Dana, Scarlet, you guys come on back in. I know Scarlet hasn't been in the chat too much, but uh, Scarlet has a huge channel. She does all kinds of reviews. She's a gamer. So if you're into gaming and stuff like that, check out her channel, Discord, all that stuff. The community is really huge. Dana's included in that. She's into shows and stuff. Scarlet and Dana review shows together. And Dana's into Dungeons and Dragons. So I mean, there's kind of a little bit for everybody: gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, movies, review shows. They have art contests in their Discords, all kinds of things going on. And I know Dan, like he said, he reviews too many shows to even list. You go in his Discord and you'll definitely see just content out the yin yang, man. This dude does it. He does it well. He gets the news out there quick. He is big in his own community as far as a big group of friends. He brought a whole gang over here tonight, and he's got a community going on just built over the 9 years he said he's been doing it, and he does a great job over there. So anybody out there listening, anyway, definitely hit the links, and stuff like that. You can find them in the chat and in the description below of the video and stuff like that. But Dan, what you got going on? Any final words?
Honestly, I would like to close with this. Honestly, I do collabs here and there, and I like to do them all the time. But I will say, this has been a great experience. Not only that, I would love to do more of these, and honestly, I just would love to say that, yeah, no, I absolutely love all the support. I'm seeing all the support in the chat here from a lot of, a lot of my viewers, a lot of your viewers. It's great to see everybody come together and have great discussions, honestly. So this is one of several. Honestly, I would absolutely love to do another one. So thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Heck yeah, man. You are part of the community. You're on the list anytime. And that link that I sent you works if you want to join in on any of the guest creator roundtables or whatever. So we'll definitely have you back. We can do some one-on-ones. We can bring in some other creators, talk about more specific things, whether it be Dexter or From. Like I said, we'll do a theory video, all kinds of opportunities and chances to do some stuff. So you're on the list, man.
Awesome.
Scarlet, Dana, what you guys got going on?
We're gonna try to finish up the Institute, so we got like 2 episodes left, so we'll be doing that on Tuesday. And then Thursday we're doing All of Us Are Dead. And then
Yes,
of
the
course,
finale. The finale.
It was a good
always
season.
hanging out for Friday nights. That's about it.
Friday Night Fever over on Scarlet Fever's YouTube channel. It's always fun. And I mean, she games and stuff, but talk about just everything under the sun in the Friday Night Fever. Dana streaming stuff. We got some Dungeons and Dragons going on. I'm the villain
Yes.
in the game we got going on right now, and that'll eventually
Wow.
come to YouTube. So we got that coming on, and I'm just reviewing stuff all the time as usual. So, but we'll wrap it up there. Dan, I want to say, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you doing what you do, man.
Absolutely, man. And same goes to you. Us Walking Dead creators, we stick together and ride this thing out, man. And so I appreciate you having me.
Hey, I appreciate it too. There may be some lag and stuff. I'm gonna work on that. If there is, I'll check it and see what's up with that. But thank you, Scarlet. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dan. And we're gonna sign off. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us. Be sure to check the Discords and stuff for the links and the schedules. And we'll talk to y'all soon.